Hi, my name is Barbara. I've been a Mad Dog Athletics spinning instructor since February of 1997, and I'm currently a Star 3 level spinning instructor. So I've been spinning a really long time, and I absolutely love it. I can't tell you how many times I see someone walk into a spin class and just get on a bike without making any adjustments to the bike at all. Or to have someone come to a class that I'm teaching and say they've been spinning for years, but yet they still have had no one show them how to set the bike up properly. And the one that I hate the most is to have someone tell me that they tried spinning before, but it really killed their knees. That lets me know right away that they were riding the bike in an improper setting. If the bike is set properly for your body frame, you should feel no discomfort in the knees, and it's actually one of the very first things that a therapist will start you on in rehab of the knee is on a spin bike or a spin type of bike. So that's what we're going to do today, is go over a few tips for new riders, someone that wants to try a spin class but may be a little bit intimidated, is some tips on how to set up the bike. There's only 3 things that you absolutely should have for spinning class. One is a heart rate monitor, which I have here. I keep it on my bike at all times to monitor my heart rate. Second is water, lots of water. I have 2 bottles on my bike today. A good rule of thumb is about 40 ounces of water for every 40 minutes that we ride. The third thing is a good pair of athletic shoes. You can just wear a basic athletic shoe, but you want to find one that has as hardest sole possible. So the less flexion that the shoe has, the more comfortable your feet will be in the pedal. If we're choosing the athletic shoe, then we're going to be using the side of the pedal that has the toe cage. There's a crank arm that comes from the gear of the bike to the pedal. And when we place our feet in the toe cage with an athletic shoe, we want the widest part of our foot, or the ball of our foot, the widest part of our shoe, to line up with that center pedal. So unless you have really big feet, you should have plenty of room still left in the toe cage. Instead of ramming the feet all the way forward into the toe cage, just place the widest part of your foot and tighten the strap so that it is snug on the foot, but you still have feeling in the toes. It is an option to purchase spin shoes, such as the ones I have on. They have clips on the bottom. It helps with the ride, and we're able to really pull the heels and get a little bit more out of the ride. But what it also does is it takes out all the guesswork of where to place the foot on the pedal, because the clips are placed on the shoe properly where they should be. A few other things you may want to consider for comfort of the ride. They're not necessary, but you may want a towel. You will sweat in a spin class, so you may want a towel to dry the sweat. You may want to purchase a pair of spinning shorts, such as the ones that I'm wearing now. They have a pad in them that helps with comfort of the ride. Or you could just purchase a gel seat like this one that you bring with you and slip on the seat when you go to class. Those are mostly for comfort. They're not necessary. So once you've come to the spin class and you've entered the room, instead of just walking up to a bike and getting on it, let's do some preliminary checks first. We're going to walk up next to the bike and lift our inside leg. If the seat is already way higher than our hip line or way lower than our hip line, we know we need to make an adjustment. This bike is obviously set up for my husband, so I'm going to go ahead and lower the seat. Usually you have to turn the pop pin, pull, lower, make sure it sets back in, and then hand tighten. Now remember, these are preliminary adjustments. We may have to make some adjustments again once we get on the bike and see how we look and feel. So I'm going to lift my inside leg again. It's a little bit closer to my seat height. So I'm going to try that and see how it works. Now notice, I'm not a very tall person. My husband's seat height was here. So I'm going to go ahead and move my seat forward in aft position a little closer to the handlebars. The seat looks like it's a long distance away from the handlebars for someone of my stature. Fore and aft is how far the seat is from the handlebars. So I'm going to make a preliminary adjustment there as well. And again, we may readjust once we get on the bike. For new riders, I suggest that you go ahead and take your handlebars as high on the place setting as they will go. Be careful when doing that. Most of the handlebars, when you release the pop pin and pull it, they will come out when it gets to the highest setting. So loosen the pop pin, lift it gently, and it should have some type of notation on the bar where it says stop. but do it gently, because I have seen some people pull them very quickly and handlebars will actually come out of the bike and pop them in the nose. So you want to be mindful of that. Okay, now I've made most of my little preliminary adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and get on the bike and see how I've done. I do have this clipped-in spin shoe, so I'm going to clip myself in. And I'm just going to start to roll the pedals. Very slowly at first. And you notice when my foot is hitting the bottom pedal stroke, the very bottom, I'm kind of having to tip my ankle to reach for the bottom pedal stroke, almost like I'm having to really reach for it. We want to have anywhere from 1 to 5% bend in the knee at the bottom of the pedal stroke. No more than a 5% bend in the knee. No less than a 1% bend in the knee. So we want to make sure we're not hyperextending. So I already feel like I'm reaching for the pedal stroke at the bottom. So I'm going to come off the bike and I'm going to lower it one seat, one more hold, set it in. Get myself clipped back into the bike. There we go. And then test it again. That feels a lot better. I don't feel like I'm reaching for the bottom pedal stroke at all. I'm able to keep my feet flat through the whole pedal stroke without pointing my toes. So that feels a little bit better. Once we get the seat height set where we feel like it's comfortable and where we feel like it should be, but we're not quite sure, we stop our pedals, disengage or take our feet out, roll the pedal over and put the heel of our foot on the center peg of the bike where the ball of the foot would be, and roll it all the way to the bottom, and our legs should be fully extended. Not hyperextended, but fully extended. And then we know that our bike is set properly for our height. So that's good setting for me. From there we're going to check our fore and aft position. Fore and aft is, again, how far the seat is, how close the seat is to the handlebars. So what we're going to do is actually roll the foot forward. That center peg that we put the ball of our foot on, we're going to stop it when it's parallel to the bike. So the crank arm is parallel to the bike. We're going to glance down our knee, and we should see a straight line from our kneecap to the center peg. I use this in my spin classes all the time. It's a basic fishing weight attached to a string. And if I place it right at their kneecap and let the weight fall, I want to see it fall right at that center peg, which mine is doing. So I actually did a pretty good job at picking my preliminary setting for my seat fore and aft. But if the weight had fallen in front of the peg, then we would know we need to make some adjustments in the seat. Move it back a little. Or if it had fallen behind, we may want to move the seat forward. Handlebar height again, I said, for beginners. We keep them high. Eventually, gradually, once you become more efficient spinners and are more comfortable, you'll start to lower those until you keep your handlebar height matches your seat height. So I would normally ride with the handlebars much lower. So right now I'm feeling like I really want to stretch out. So once we start to make those preliminary adjustments or those adjustments to the handlebar height, a good idea is to lower them maybe one hole every 2 weeks. But once you get to a place where the handlebars are actually down as low as your seat height, you may start to feel like you could stretch out a little bit more. Let's say that your seat height, you were falling in a 5% bend, but now you've been spinning for a while, your muscles are a little more conditioned. You feel like you could probably let the quadriceps and the hamstrings do a little bit more pull or a little bit more work, a little more stretch out a little bit. You might feel like you want to raise the seat height once. And that's okay if you're at 5% bend. You can move it up to a 4% bend in the knee or a 3% bend in the knee. But if you do that, then you want to recheck the seat forward and aft position to make sure that it hasn't adjusted that setting as well. Sometimes making one adjustment in one area will cause another one to be off. So keep that in mind, 1% to 5% bend in the knee. Never hyperextend the knee at the bottom of the pedal stroke. And just enjoy the ride. Happy spinning. I'll see you.